Alright, the balance patch is out. I've dumped way more time into it than I probably should have, so let's talk about what happened. Weapon-wise, I don't really think many things changed in a significant way. The weapons that were good are still very good, and the weapons that were very bad are still very bad. The in-air accuracy buff for all primary weapons is great, no complaints from me there. I don't think many people have a problem with that whatsoever. Auto rifles, everyone is greatly awaiting their return to the meta, and while I do think they are better, I don't think they are at the very top of said meta. The issue with auto rifles is that they're good in pretty much the same range that hand cannons are good. And if you're using a low rate of fire auto rifle, then your only counter to a hand cannon 1v1 is for you to hope that they miss. Because a hand cannon is basically always going to win if they do not miss. I think that's the case for a good majority of the time of those engagements. Suros, Shatterprice, Kvastov, whatever auto you got in that category, they're very slightly better, but I don't think enough to push them above and beyond anything currently in the game. Genesis Chain, the raid one, has some weirdness to it in that it has a different rate of fire and a very similar damage range, but it still ends up killing in the same amount of shots as those other auto rifles, but I didn't use this as much as I would have liked to, but I also didn't see it as much as I would have liked to. Pulses, the super high rate of fire pulse rifles, are definitely still viable. Clever Dragon, still viable. I have a Waltz from FWC with 33 shots in the magazine and counterbalance. Yeah, safe to say that thing is still very much viable. A few people have expressed their like for the slowest rate of fire pulses, the Messenger, if you're old school, or the Parthenon shot from the Vanguard, if you don't have a Messenger. I tried both of them out, and you basically need to use them like scout rifles. 2 burst kills are possible, but are pretty rare to get unless your aim is really solid. My aim is not really solid, so therefore I did not have a lot of success with this archetype of weapon. If you haven't played around with them, I would at least give them a shot. You know, I'm sure a lot of people are just drowning in legendary marks at this point, so buying a weapon from the Vanguard should be pretty easy. But I don't think this archetype of weapon is great for every single map, like some other weapons can be. It is definitely more of a map-by-map basis pick. Hand cannons. Number one question is Hawkmoon good now? And the answer is sort of. Kinda. The effects of the accuracy buff don't feel as strong as I was anticipating. Hawkmoon is a little bit better, but it still feels like it has some consistency issues, although not as many as pre-patch. However, with stuff like Palindrome and IS Luna being able to roll really insane perks, and with Luck in the Chamber on Hawkmoon not playing as prevalent as a role anymore, at least compared to year one, Hawkmoon now feels like something you just feel like you could use, as opposed to it being one of the best options out there. Hawkmoon also has a ton of kick to it comparatively, so I wouldn't mind seeing the slightest stability buff to Hawkmoon to try to match the legendary counterparts. Both Ice Luna and Palindrome are still definitely top tier picks. The first curse is feeling a little crisper than pre-patch, but again, its main downfall is its rate of fire, just like it was pre-patch. Still a lot of fun to use though, not many more guns sound as satisfying to shoot and kill with, but use with caution. Thorn, still not too great, it didn't really feel that great to me. Scout rifles, didn't really use them too much, but of the times that I did, they didn't really feel too different, and that doesn't come as any sort of a surprise, because they weren't touched at all. Same for snipers and fusion rifles. Shotguns, I can definitely feel the effects of the wider spread while in air. It is not nearly as consistent to kill now, but there's also been significantly fewer people flying through the air with shotguns because of the special ammo changes, which is kind of refreshing. It also kind of feels like a psychological change, like I can't risk flying through the air anymore because I'm going to lose all my ammo even if I just trade. More and more gunfights are decided by primary weapons, although abilities are still very, very spammy, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if abilities were the next major thing tuned. The odds of another balance patch before Destiny 2 probably not too high, so don't worry, Bungie won't nerf them. That leaves sidearms. Sidearms did not get a buff in any way, but because people are so incredibly desperate to use the fastest killing weapons in the game and have special at all times, people have resorted to using sidearms, which would be fine if their ammo situation wasn't so excessive. See, all other specials lose all of their ammo on death now. That's fine. Sidearms, in all patches prior, if you died, you would get back a small amount of sidearm ammo, maybe about 2 magazines worth. In the newest patch, that still happens, which, again, fine. But if you get a bunch of ammo for a sidearm and then die, you get to keep all of that ammo. And considering ammo spawns 3 times as often now, that makes it really easy to get tons and tons of sidearm ammo. I think if this was more in line with other specials, where you lose all of your ammo when you die, but then still spawned with the 2 magazines worth of ammo that you did pre-patch, then this would be completely fine. I don't think the way it is right now is fine, because about half the Crucible might as well be running around with miniature Last Word replicas. I don't know about you guys, but to me, it got obnoxious very quickly. If you are gonna be that guy, or girl, the Trespasser is one of the best sidearms out there. A lot of people like the Wormwood from FWC, but generally speaking, most sidearms are going to serve you pretty well. Heavy weapons in general, no changes. Next, rather big thing of note, Hungering Blade. A lot of you know the deal with that. It got changed to give a chunk of health as opposed to immediately starting health regen. A lot of people don't like that. I'm not in a position to say too much about it because I don't play Blade Dancer that often. I can totally see why some people are upset about it, and it seems like a tweak based on the lower end of the skill bracket, but I'm not too sure. Some anecdotal experience, I saw a lot of people getting kills with Blade. It didn't really seem like the overall landscape of Blade changed that significantly from day to day, game to game kind of play. But by some miracle of computer science, this change also ended up breaking nearly every other life regeneration perk in the entire game. How? That's a great question. I don't know. Is that acceptable at this point in the game for something like that to happen? Probably not. I understand that shiz happens, but that is really significant. Bungie has asked for feedback on this particular circumstance in terms of in-game balance. I can't say I enjoy this change because it wasn't supposed to be applied to literally everything in the game, only Hungering Blade. So if you want my feedback, let's get that fixed as soon as possible and not call it a test of health regen mechanics. Don't make the live servers into a PTR. I'm glad they at least came out and said that this was an issue instead of just playing dumb, but Bungie, that just feels like way too big of a thing to miss this late in the patch. Truth got nerfed, 3 rockets in the chamber down to 1 in the chamber. Personally, I don't like Truth in the Crucible. I think it's really annoying. So from a personal point of view, Truth can go screw itself. I know people are definitely not going to agree with that. That's fine. That's just a personal viewpoint. But from a PvE perspective, this is a horrific nerf to the weapon. Not that I think many people are using Truth in PvE, or were using it, but that's besides the point. We need to limit these kinds of nerfs that nerf things for PvP at the expense of them getting slammed in PvE. If we wanted to compromise, maybe 2 in the chamber. That, I would have been okay with that, like it used to be. Quick draw on Blade Dancers and Ophidians was nerfed, now no longer readies weapons instantly, but grants a large increase to weapon handling speed. I'll explain that in a second. Again, total personal opinion. I didn't like that I could lose a gunfight on my Titan, simply because my opponent had a perk that let them get their weapon out faster than I could get out my weapon. Why they chose to do something about quick draw now of all times, I do not know, because most of the time it was used to body shot with the sniper and then switch to a hand cannon to finish them off, and special ammo is not going to be as common anymore, so I feel like it probably could have been okay. I feel like a lot of people might not even understand what the change means. So the old perk description was basically your weapons ready instantly, meaning when you swapped weapons, you'd get your gun out instantly, or what Destiny considers instantly. Now, pretend that it says your weapons ready faster, and that's the change. I'm greatly oversimplifying it, but for the majority of you, that's all you need to know. Thanks to the special ammo changes, roaming supers are more powerful than ever before. Why Bungie chose to nerf the duration of Storm Trance when you had Landfall equipped instead of Ionic Blink, I will never know. I don't really recall Landfall being that popular in PvP after its nerf, and Ionic Blink is pretty much the default PvP option. If Landfall was being used more than Ionic Blink in PvP, then I guess we're the stupid ones for suggesting Blink gets the nerf and not Landfall. But I still think Storm could have received an overall timer duration nerf, and I think people would have been okay with that. It didn't have to be significant, but just a little bit. Titans. Shoulder charge is a lot better now, thanks to special ammo not being as common. You're not going to get shotgunned in the face anymore. However, it felt like it had some targeting issues at times, where it just wouldn't lock on. Although that could have just been me trying to get used to shoulder charge again.
This one. Pick all those up, dude. Come on.
Okay. Yeah, that made it. What?
Did you see that?
Yes, I saw that. I saw that.
I literally went in reverse. With Juggernaut being nerfed now, and with special ammo not being as common, maybe it's time to swap back. Who knows? Finally, I have a feeling Trials is going to be plagued with every workaround for special ammo. No Land Beyond, Icebreaker, Invective, Sidearms, anything that gets around the special ammo changes. So I hope something happens with that. Otherwise, prepare for Trials to just be people abusing special weapons and ammo. Let's take a quick sidebar here. I think the whole specials in the primary slot and regenerating ammo thing was an interesting thing to try, to see if it could be made to work. But it really just feels like it created a whole lot of problems and did not improve the game at all. And I really hope that they ditch regenerating ammo in Destiny 2. I think it's just kind of a hassle. So, quick wrap up. I like fighting with primaries now. Let's patch up the whole sidearm ammo thing, and I think we're pretty solid. Until that sidearm situation is resolved, expect to see a lot of sidearms in Trials and general PvP, and if it's never fixed, then prepare to see it until Destiny 2 launches. Otherwise, this patch kind of tweaked how the previous meta is played, but it didn't do as much as I was hoping, at least right at the start of this patch, for stuff that was woefully underpowered or underused. For the most part, the stuff that was good is still good, and the stuff that was bad is still pretty bad. There are some exceptions, but I don't think there's anything that was bad that has swung into the top tier of weaponry, and that's something I was kinda hoping to see. Those are my very lengthy thoughts on the new patch. If you enjoyed the video, positive rating is appreciated. If you think my thoughts are stupid, positive rating is appreciated. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.